Hello. I just uploaded a video about the WHO treaty, which had to do with the WHO giving itself powers to override government's decisions in certain situations. And I've had a little bit of trouble, but it's not serious. It'll be up again. I had to take it down, but it'll be up again, probably with a slightly different title. That's all. But meanwhile, let's talk about this. The theatre is, a theatre is accused of setting a dangerous precedent for promoting a show with an all-black audience. Yeah, well, this is an American import which has started to infect Britain. So before I go on and give people a lecture on the difference between the state of black people in Britain and the state of black people in America, I'll tell you I'm Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I'm also on Twitter and Gab. All the links are in the description. So if you need to access any of those, just go to the description for the URLs. Also, there's a couple of URLs there for donating to the channel. I'd be very pleased to accept a donation, of course. But really, the best way you can help me is by clicking that like button and by sharing and by subscribing. All right, well, that's that. Now, I'll tell you about this. You see, a theatre in East London has been accused of setting a dangerous precedent after urging white people to stay away from a play so that the audience is free from the white gaze. People saying, yeah, it's only one performance in a list is a bit like talking about somebody who's a little bit pregnant. You know, once it's there, it takes over everything. The Theatre Royal Stratford East has warned white visitors against attending the July the 5th performance of Tambo and Bones, a production which explores 300 years of African American history. So we're talking here about what happened to black people in America. I want to point out that when black American soldiers were in Britain during the war, there were fist fights between local indigenous British people and white American soldiers. Fist fight between these two groups of white people because the British people were so angry with the American white soldiers for excluding or trying to have black American soldiers in another room or not even allowed into the pub. There were actual fist fights. There was one which was the whole village rose up against the white American soldiers. And it was called the Battle of something, the name of the village. I'm sorry, I've forgotten it right now. That's how the British felt about dealing asymmetrically with people with white skin and black skin. Now, I'm not suggesting that there are no British people who have prejudices against black people or Jews or Chinese or I don't know what, rich people or gypsies. You know, you always get people with prejudices. But the British people have, in general and legally, always treated black people like the human beings that they are. As a matter of fact, as I have frequently pointed out, there was a court ruling in Britain in the 1700s, which, when it was passed, and when it said that slaves cannot be held by British people, that was what propelled the Southern American states to join the fight for independence in America, because they were terrified that the law would be applied to them. as well, and they wouldn't be able to own slaves anymore. That was in America. This is Britain. And when these guys start to import the bitterness that a lot of black people feel, in my opinion, unjustifiably by now, but yeah, all right, to import that bitterness to Britain, it's divisive to Britain and it's dangerous to our society. And furthermore, it is completely unjustified. I'm not even going to go into the fact that Britain went to war to stop slavery and finished paying the debt on its drive to shut down slavery all over the world, finished paying its debt in 2015. That means my money, when I draw a salary, up to 2015, some of it was going to pay for the ending of slavery in the early 1800s. That's how much of a debt it was. And so I find this very insulting. It's just plain insulting. And I suspect that that is how it was intended. Nothing to do with the white gaze, for goodness sake. Are these audience goers so terrified of white people being there? No, of course they're not. They just want to get a chance to insult a few white people, and possibly a lot of white people, anyone who reads that thing. Don't come to my party. I don't like the look in your eyes. Now, what are we going to do? Are we going to stop Jews from going to see The Merchant of Venice because the non-Jews are going to feel the Jewish gaze on them while this character is marching about on the stage being Jewish? Are we going to stop black people from coming to see Othello because, again, we don't like their offended looks about the slurs that Shakespeare has put into that play? Where does it stop? Well, yeah, all right. What we have in the back of our minds that we wouldn't do such a thing, but black people are allowed to do it. Well, that is what, who said the soft bigotry of low expectations? We expect black people to be hypersensitive and too afraid to have white people while they're enjoying either, I don't know what this is, funny or soul-wrenching or whatever. Is that the way we look at black people? Well, I don't look at black people like that, and I have some in my acquaintance. No, I'm not going to say some of my best friends are black people. I'm just going to say I have had normal interactions with many black people, and I have taken them at their mental value. And I would be very offended by if any of them had said to me, oh, don't come to my party, I don't like your white gaze. Well, of course, they wouldn't have been any sort of an acquaintance after that, I think. And that is what that is a small personal thing. But that is what these guys are doing to the whole of British society. And I'm disgusted with them, but they see it as a way of earning money, making a point, getting back, releasing spite, I don't know what. They seem to me, or them or the people who induced them to do this. And I don't know who they are, so I can't target my fury, but I can say that if I ever found out who they are, if I ever come across them, I would not wish to be associated with them. Now, let's not get into that horrible habit of taking a completely different cultural reference. Americans are allowed to do what they want, American white people and American black people, with their history. But I don't want it here because it's not the same history. It's like putting a stamp over a portrait. to change what it looks like. And it is a disgusting thing to do. And these people are acting in a disgusting way, and they are being offensive, mostly, I suppose, to the country of their birth. You cannot be loyal and part of a society when you attend a show like this, or you hold a show like this. So anyone who is involved in that particular night is acting like a corrosive acid on British society, and you're living here. It's not good for you. You may get, I don't know, if you're the spiteful sort, you may get some sort of satisfaction out of thinking that you're sitting there and you've excluded people, and gives you a superior feeling. That won't last, because it will tear at the fabric of the society that got you to the theatre in the first place, that funds that theatre. Because you would have got, I mean, I'm sure that theatre gets Arts Council funding, that gets you on the trains and the underground railways and the buses and the cars that get you there to that theatre, that educates you enough so you can read the sign outside the theatre and know what's coming on. I mean, absolutely everything. You are kicking in the face of all of that when you do this sort of thing. So anyone who's involved in this, anyone who excuses this, you're just a disgrace. That's all you are. You are a disgrace to our society here in Britain. Right, well, that's all I have to say. I probably said plenty. I am not going to monetize this video because, yeah, it deals with a subject I prefer not to be monetized, frankly. All right, till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or granbow with a firearm, or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com, and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.